This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West, answering a question for T-Bled52 off of YouTube. He wants to know, how do you train kids? How do you train young teenagers? How do you get them stronger? And how do you get them faster? Well, the way you get them stronger and the way you get them faster is the same exact thing that you would do for an adult, same thing you would do for an older guy. It doesn't really matter the age too much. Now, talking about like a really young teenager, someone who maybe just turned 13, 14 years old, and they're really underdeveloped, then you may have to do some drills and exercises and things like that, just to even bring them up to speed so they can handle a bench squat or deadlift. But in a lot of cases, especially if you're dealing with an athlete, they should be able to handle benching, squatting, deadlifting, and despite what everybody thinks, as long as you go over some basics with form, they should be able to go heavy too. Because remember, in order for them to get proper form, they're going to have to build some sort of strength. And so, how are you going to build? You can only build strength. Well, not only build strength, but part of building strength is to go heavy and to use lesser repetition. So you're going to want to have a variety. You're going to want to have the kids do sets of 6, sets of 8, sets of 10, those kinds of things, so they learn how to do the exercise the right way. But also, I'd also suggest that once it looks like they kind of understand what the hell's going on, they have some decent body awareness, then say, okay, well, let's push the weights up a little heavier. Now, make sure that when the weights go heavier that, things are still looking okay. Tell the kids, hey, 225 should look just the same as 135 did. They should look similar. Your last rep should look like your first. So if you're doing a set of 3, and rep number 1 is boom, rep number 1 is real good, you want to strive to have that third rep look the same as that first rep did. And that goes for higher repetition sets as well. If you're doing a set of 20 or something like that, the last few reps there should still be nice and clean. So really, with the kids, really preach quality to them. And if they're going to go heavier, make sure it doesn't turn into a crapshoot. Make sure it just doesn't turn into a giant shit show where their form is really going, their knees are buckling in, or they're raising box heights up, and all that kind of stuff. Make sure that they're still, practicing decent form, and that they're still getting the range of motion that you're looking for. Other than that, man, kids are pretty resilient. When I coached football for a few years out here in Northern California, one thing I did with the kids, I had them stay in the same spot. And I really preached to them about the benefits of the squat, the bench, the deadlift, overhead pressing, bent over rows, abdominal work, push-ups, sit-ups, things like that. All real basic exercises that have been around for hundreds of years. I really preached a lot of that to them, but I also utilized a lot of those exercises to keep the kids in the same place, because a lot of times what they were doing is they were getting distracted. So I take them from one thing to the next, and they just lose focus. They were squatting at one point and deadlifting, and then they were supposed to do ab work, and they're supposed to do some form of a leg curl, and they just kind of lose track of what the hell's going on. They lose focus. They weren't training as intense as they needed to. So what I did was I said, okay, let's make this a little easier. Today's going to be a day we focus in on the deadlift, and here's what, group number 1 is going to be focusing on the deadlift. Group number 2 is going to be focusing on the squat. And so group number 1, they would do, let's say they would do a heavy sumo deadlift. I'd say, let's push the sumo deadlift today. Let's see what you can do for a single, max single. So you'd go for a max single. And exercise number 2 would simply be stiff leg deadlift. So now they're going to bring their stance in. They're going to do some stiff leg deadlifts. They do 3 sets of about 8 reps. After that, they'd do bent over rows. After that, they'd finish up with maybe some sled pulling and some abdominal work, and that would be about 5 exercises, and they'd be done. It was very simple. The other group that was squatting, they would do some squats. They'd work up to a heavy single, and then they would perform the same exercise for a heavy set, a couple sets of 8 reps, about 3 sets of 8 reps. Then they would move on to doing some good mornings. So again, they'd do 3 exercises, all standing in the same spot. Nobody had to move anywhere. No one had to switch. No one had to share. No one had to do anything except for pay attention and spot each other and help each other get through the day. Next thing they would do is they'd go outside, they'd hit up the sled, or maybe they do some walking lunges with a little bit of weight in their hand, or in some cases they would do some box jumps and things like that. But I still wasn't even a big fan of that. I didn't really see the great results with jumping. I saw better results from the kids when they were lifting. Remember, a lot of these gyms where you see these guys jumping up on the real high boxes and stuff, especially from powerlifters, powerlifters are utilizing box squats to jump higher. They're not using jumping to jump higher, and they're not even necessarily using jumping to increase their squat. In some cases, I guess you can make an argument and say it's increasing your deadlift. But all the explosive means that are utilized in powerlifting by the utilization of bands and chains and force development and trying to crush weights as fast and as explosively as you can, all those things develop jumping power. Not in everyone. I'm not about to jump anywhere. I don't have the mobility for it. I don't have the elasticity anymore. I'm getting old, getting fat, getting cheap. Anyway, that's how you train kids. Make sure rule number 1 is to keep those suckers motivated. The way to keep them motivated is to lead by example. So if you don't like to lead by example, find someone who does and say, hey, you know what? I need you to train in here with these kids, and you need to show these kids what's up, and you need to push them. They need to be pushed hard. They need to be pushed further than they think their bodies can handle. Because they are capable. They're plenty capable. You got to push them, push them, push them, push them, push them. Just keep that pressure on. Remember, pressure makes diamonds. So keep that pressure on them and watch them turn into diamonds and have a hell of a powerful bunch of young athletes around. That's it from supertraining.tv. Later.